Hi, I'm Jason McAteer and you're watching the Redmen TV.
So what I want to come on to next for this is this notion of room for improvement. January transfer window's upon us. What do we have available to us and what do we not have available to us? Where do Liverpool really need to strengthen? And I think what I'll do is in terms of the squad, I think the key ones for me, there's three. In fact, I'm gonna pick up my pad to make sure I get this right. There's two big issues, I think, because I think you can buy players. I feel in general we've got good quality in general throughout, but I think we lack standout players. So there's a question of, I think if you were gonna buy 4 or 5 players in, that the squad would be a lot better for it. But I think there's probably a case where you maybe only need 1 or 2 stars. I'll start with the squad. So for me, the biggest weak point we have in the squad right now is left back. And it's not Alberto Moreno, him being a weakness, it's what we've got behind him. So obviously at the minute we've got the only real left back, genuine left back option. We've seen Nathaniel Klein go over there, but again, that leaves you a little bit short on the right hand side. What you've got is Brad Smith, who is, where is he? Where's I put Brad Smith? It's bound to be the guy. Is he upside down? No, that's it. Remember him? Yeah. There's Brad Smith. Where the fuck is... I put Conor Randall over stuff. That's where he is. Brad Smith. As I discussed previously, he's fine, and I want to see him get more game time to prove himself. But and also, I don't want to put too much. I like to see young players getting a chance. But that being said, it'd be nice to have someone to put pressure, direct pressure on Moreno. If this guy can do it, good on him, and go do it, Brad Smith. Go do it. Put pressure on Alberto Moreno. But right here, right now, as we're filming this today, he's not in contention for a first team, first choice starting place, and that's a concern for me because I think in other positions we've got when everyone's fit, I think we've got competition, and obviously in the fullbacks is more of an issue. A lot of this will centre around. In fact, I'm going to take this. No, actually, you know what? I'm going to continue this for 2 moments. The only other position I think again that we need to strengthen is centre half, because right now Martin Skrtel's out injured. We've gotten massively lucky that Lovren's come back in terms of his injury. We've lucky that Sakho's been able to come back in. These have both been on the fringe. If this has happened slightly differently, Skrtel got an injury slightly earlier, we'd be having Kolo Touré starting as a first team starter, and I don't think that's good enough. And obviously we've got likes of Joe Gomez will be in contention. I'll discuss him a bit in a minute again, but these guys have got so much room for improvement, but we don't have a world-class centre-half at the moment. And I think at the minute, it falls between 2 stools of, do you go out and buy a world-class centre-half, or for now, do you go out and buy someone else who can come in and sit above Kolo Touré? Is it a waste of money and a waste of time buying someone to be essentially come in and fight for a third choice centre half? It probably is. But if you had the money and you had the opportunity, I think our squad would be better for buying a centre half in January. And then in terms of it, and this one comes down to literally how the next 2 weeks are going to pan out. If Origi can get back to fitness and consistent fitness, it's less of an issue. If Daniel Sturridge, again, it feels like a complete waste of my time saying these words again, but if we can get him back to a level of fitness, then I don't think we need another striker. I think between them two, Benteke and the availability of Firmino, I think we've probably got enough to get us through. But again, if you can't get Sturridge fit, if Origi keeps having little breakdowns and Benteke keeps having little breakdowns, goals are what get you. Goals win your prizes in football, and without those guys in consistent contention for availability, we lack goals. What do you think, Aubrey, in terms of the squad? Is there anything that you think that we could do with bolstering?
Yeah, Liverpool make me massively bipolar. So after the Chelsea, City, Southampton run, we were stood there looking at our squad, and we actually got a lot of players back from injuries, and we were saying things like, me and Chris, I think we did a show on it, which was, God, there's going to be 2 decent players not even getting in the match day 18. Mm-hmm. And then 3 injuries and 3 bad performances later, I'm writing all of them off. Yeah. And I think that's how precarious and how on an edge, we actually are. Because they're not, I agree with your sentiment, it's not a bad squad.
Yeah.
You know, analytically, let's drop all the hate from the Newcastle performance and the Watford performance out of it and just actually look at them. You go, actually, that's a fine squad who will give you a Watford-style performance, but then will go and beat Chelsea.
Yeah.
And you've also got to remember January is a very weird time. I think we need a fullback and we need a... I'm going to throw a name out there that not everyone's going to really appreciate, but it's not someone who we should get, it's someone who we got in the past. I think we need an Ali Sissoko-style loan signing because he was an international, he played European football, he came in and he was fine.
Yeah.
He didn't fuck up, he didn't cost us any games, he didn't win us any games, but in that run, he came in and he provided decent performances. I remember playing well against Southampton away and we actually won that match, which was one of those tricky ones in that almost winning the league season.
Yeah.
I'd much rather have someone who's got a bit of experience, you know, someone who's playing for a Valencia or a Wolfsburg, someone who is at a Valencia or a Schalke or a Wolfsburg who isn't playing, who we can bring in on a 6-month loan with an option to buy, probably never act on it.
Yeah.
And he's got more experience than a Randall or a Smith because you don't want to see Randall or Smith thrown under the bus. And then the other one is, even though these players never got that many goals for us, your Morientes, your Yari Littmanen or your Fowler returning, which happened in January.
Craig Bellamy's a good example.
Craig Bellamy's the best example, actually, but the one I didn't think of. But he actually did come in and score goals. And it's that seasoned striker, the player who's done it, the player who's consistently got goals in the Premier League or in his career, who comes in and just chips in with, if he chipped in with 5 to 6 goals from January to the end of the season, he'd probably finish third top scorer because we have struggled so much and because of the injury problems we have with other players. And I don't know who it is. I'd have to look at who isn't playing, who's available. But there's got to be someone out there who's in the 29 to 32 bracket who would love to come to Liverpool Football Club, pick up money in the most mercenary way, or get a chance at a bigger club than they've ever had, or a chance at a big club again, and could just give us an option for last 20 minutes of a match. Or, like you say, we've got 2 games against Stoke and a cup tie against Exeter. Hopefully we have a run in Europa League where you've got someone who can just offer a bit more experience up front than what we've got.
So here's the issue I want to bring out. I've brought out the 3 players. I promised I'd talk about them. Joe Gomez, John Flanagan and Danny Ings, and I think it ties in very neatly to what you've been saying there, up in terms of like getting the loan signing in, because obviously I think the issue with bolstering the squad, and it's something Klopp's actually said himself recently, because it's kind of all well and good going out and buying people, but we need to remember we still have these guys in the squad, and I know like Gomez and Ings will probably play very, very limited part in the rest of the season. We might be lucky and see one of them back before the end of the season. I have a sneaking suspicion we'll probably see them for the last month or so of the season. I think better than people expect, but nevertheless, the point is that in terms of the squad, I know we're a little bit threadbare in areas, but these 2 guys in particular, Gomez and Flanagan, we'll find out in due course about John Flanagan and whether he actually still has enough football ability left in him after the injuries. Like 19 months, he's basically been out with consistent injuries and surgeries and what have you. That's a lot of football to miss at such an important developmental period of your career. Gomez, that's a massive injury to sustain. He's at the best age to get it in some respects because he's in the best physical condition to bounce back from it. But we'll see on these guys. But what I'm kind of driving at is that you go out and buy a left back. We're going to spend £5 million, £6 million, whatever, on a left back or on a right back and whatever. So then we get to the end of this season. Those players are not absolutely essentials unless, of course, we get a massive injury to one of Klein or Moreno. We get to the end of the season. These 2 guys are now fit. What happens to them? We've got them in the squad. Are you basically if you go out and buy a guy who's like 25, 26, 29, 30, does he sit in front of Flanagan and Gomez in that squad? Does he hamper their development by being available to you? Because you've got a guy there, he's earning top Premier League wages because he's probably an established professional, maybe even an international. What do you do? He's probably on a 2-year, 3-year contract. You've got a real problem there, and I know there's a temptation to go into Chapman Football Manager, whatever, where you think, fuck it doesn't really matter. But these are real people, and you actually have to think about the development of certain ones you play. And exactly that, in the attacking positions as well, because we've got 4 pretty decent strikers at the club, and I know we've got so many issues with the fitness, and I think, you know, obviously if Sturridge can't get fit, and again we've got issues with Origi and Benteke, we probably will need to be that's a position where I think we need to be a bit more mercenary and go out and just get someone who can do it, if that's even possible in January.
Probably who isn't at the club,
Yeah.
or it's fit Daniel Sturridge.
Or it's that, like, you know, for me, it was Firmino starting with Origi against Leicester. He's starting Firmino's position instead
but
of
he's
that,
the other one who runs the channels. He does what Vardy's been doing great this season.
Yeah.